champions as they come toward the top of the stretch. And they're into the stretch. And here we go. Songbird set down. Beholder is alongside.
The 7-year wait is over. American Pharoah, it's finally the one. American Pharoah has won.
He's just perfect. And now he's just immortal.
Here's the winner. Desperately close. Tesno wins it for America.
Hello and welcome to the weekend stakes preview of January 19th. Sully Crotty and Mike Callahan in here. Mike, how are you?
What's going on, Sully? How you doing? It's been a while since we did the stakes preview, but we're kind of changing up things going into 2019. A lot of stakes action to look forward to in 2019. We'll kick it off this weekend, but like you said, it's going to be a fun weekend to look forward to, and there's 5 races that we're going to talk about this weekend.
Yeah, it's all across the country, every track. There's fantastic cards, and Sunshine Millions in Florida. There's the Toboggan in New York. Santa Anita's got a great card, and then there's 14 races on the card at Fairgrounds this weekend. So great racing all across the country, but we're going to look at 5 stakes races here today, as we usually do. Starting out with the Toboggan, that's race 5 at Aqueduct Saturday afternoon, a grade 3 event going 7 furlongs. Then we're going to move to the Sunshine Millions. We're going to look at 2 stakes on that card. The 4th race, this is the Sunshine Millions Sprint. They're going 6 furlongs on the main track, the return of XY Jet in that race. And then we'll move later in that Gulfstream Park card to race 11. That is the Sunshine Millions Classic, 1 1/8 on the main track. And then we'll move out to California. Very nice race at Santa Anita. Palos Verdes, grade 2 event, 6 furlongs on the main track, return of Roy H. since the Breeders' Cup. And then race number 12 at the Fairgrounds, 14 on the card.
Wide open.
Wide open.
You
Wide open,
You
Lecomte.
can throw a dart at the board for that race.
Absolutely, and that's the mile and 70 yards, grade 3 Lecomte. There are 14 horses in the field with an also eligible, so it is a fantastic betting race, but we'll get to that later on in the show.
Yeah, we will kick it off at Aqueduct, though, the first race that Sully talked about. It's the grade 3 Toboggan, which we noted upon. It's a field of 5, and you're going to see that right there. There are 2 notable names that are going to take a lot of money in here, and that's Gold for the King and Skylar Scramjet. And when you're taking a look at it, first we're going to go to the replay of Gold for the King, which is one of those horses coming off of a last week actually raced in a race, the Safe Florida Sandy. Finished 3rd, beaten 2 lengths, but you want to see this replay. It's a horse that down the backstretch was sitting the pocket trip in there, sort of got shuffled around in horses and was crying out for room. In the end, ended up getting out a little bit too late. There was some momentum on the outside, and you're seeing the replay right here. The number 2 horse is going to be Gold for the King. And you can see right there, is just sort of in between waiting to get the cue to go and really never finds room. Wants to angle out here with the 8 Morning Breeze just on the outside, but can't find room. That's Syndergaard on top, and the eventual winner is the 9 horse Honor Up, who ends up getting the lead. Finally gets a little bit of room on the inside, and really they had the momentum on the outside. I think that was a better than it looks like performance off the 1 to 7 day layoff. Charlie Baker normally doesn't do this type of move, so I think the 7 to 5, probably around 1 to 1, but I think Gold for the King sitting on a big effort, and I think that's why Charlie Baker's going to bring this horse right back. Skylar Scramjet, you have to take a look at off that 2nd place performance. You have a couple other interesting horses in here. How'd you see it going into this race?
You know, I'm kind of against Gold for the King here, and just for that move alone, Charlie Baker never makes that move. I know the trip wasn't great there. I actually liked Syndergaard in that Stay Sandy, Florida last time. But I went against Gold for the King here, but I went with the second choice, Skylar Scramjet. I think there's going to be a lot of pace in here, but I think Skylar Scramjet's just really going to run away from this field with Dylan Davis. I love Michelle Nevin in these spots at Aqueduct. She's had a fantastic meeting. Her stakes, she's winning 17% already here in 2019, and the horse has been working out lights out. I just remember seeing this horse in the Carter. Obviously, Army Mule that day just ran a hole in the wind, but came back and ran a really nice race against Westwood, who's a nice horse. So I went with Skylar Scramjet here. I left Gold for the King off my ticket, and then I had Bell Harbor underneath. I love this Todd Pletcher horse. I was there at Keeneland the 21st where the horse ran well and a $100,000 optional claimer. That was a race that had a ton of stakes value in there, including Rugby Man and Title Ready. I had Bell Harbor in my mix just in case the pace kind of
I agree
doesn't
with that.
stand out.
I agree with Bell Harbor as the wild wild card in here.
And then I had the Colonel Sharp, but another speedy horse as well. So I have 2 speed and then Bell Harbor, and with
But
a
it
lot
is
of
interesting,
value.
after watching that replay and listening to your view on it, there are 2 ways you could look at Gold for the King. The aspect that Charlie Baker doesn't do this type of move, you say, well, maybe you lean towards some other horses. For me, I'm going to say because Charlie Baker doesn't do that move very often, he obviously saw that race where he didn't get the best of trips. I think with a better trip, there's going to be, Colonel Sharp's going to go for the lead. Skylar Scramjet should be sitting just off. Bal Harbor is an interesting horse that Sully just touched upon and is actually going to be my second choice in here. A horse that's been routing predominantly against some pretty good horses. Title Ready, Rugby Man was able to beat those 3 starts back. For me, on the cutback to 7 furlongs, I think is live in here. The problem is the good Bal Harbor wants the lead. You're not going to get it cutting back in distance. Is going to have to sit and rate under Junior Alvarado, but at 5-1, a very square price. If you have to look past Gold for the King and Skylar Scramjet, I think Bal Harbor's the horse you want to use at a price in here. If you're going 2 or 3 deep in the pick 3s or pick 4s, even potentially the pick 5 to as the early pick 5 rounds out in this 5th race on Saturday at Aqueduct. So for me, I do have Gold for the King on top. I think that was a better than it looks like 3rd place performance last time out. I'll put Bal Harbor in the 2nd spot and then Skylar Scramjet in the 3rd spot. Like you said, Skylar Scramjet 4 for 7 at Aqueduct. Another one that really loves it over the surface. And we'll see how it plays out in the Grade 3 Toboggan. But for me, it was 1, 4, and 2. And again, your thoughts?
I had 2, 4, and 3 in the Toboggan. And it's interesting because that ends the early pick 5, and it's the start of the late pick 5 for Saturday.
Yeah, so if you can kind of roll it over,
Right.
end it, and then start it going in, you may be rewarded very handsomely. So we will switch and go down to the south on Gulfstream as it is Sunshine Million Day. We'll take a look at the Sunshine Million Sprint. It is a field of 7 in here, and you're going to see the slate to look at the odds here in a second. But the heavy favorite's going to be XY Jet in here, 3-5 on the morning line, a horse that hasn't been seen since June but was a runaway winner that day. XY Jet, you really know what you're going to get from the horse.
Yeah.
A horse that just goes to the lead time and time again, is 10 for 22 lifetime, including 6 wins in 12 lifetime starts down at Gulfstream. And again, one of those situations where who's going to run with XY Jet early, and do you really want to because you're going to be kind of staggering home late?
Right, and we all remember the Golden Shaheem there with XY Jet. Mind Your Biscuits came out of the clouds, and you could definitely. This is definitely the horse to beat. And I don't want to say there's a free square on a stakes card like this.
In XY Jet right now, as you're watching
Right.
the replays, the 2 horse on the rail right now.
And you never want to say there is a free square in a great stakes card like Gulfstream has, but I think XY Jet is as close as you can be to that free square. And just how the horse looked, and I was looking forward to the horse maybe possibly going into one of those Breeders' Cup races, and would have been an awesome race there, especially with Roy H. was in there, Limousine Liberal, and Whitmore. But again, XY Jet is definitely the real deal here. Navarro sprinting. I love Jaramillo sprinting as well. So that's as much as a free square.
And this was a change of tactics as you're watching this replay.
Right.
A horse that normally goes to the lead actually got outgunned for the lead, had to come off the rail outside and actually pass the horse that is tiring right now. You're going to see Roy H. on the outside, and you're going to see Mind Your Biscuits flying. Everybody probably remembers this replay. But this was a change of dynamics for XY Jet in this race, and I thought it was a better than it looks, second place by a head. But he really had to do a lot of dirty work early.
Yeah, he definitely did. And as you said, I think Jaramillo is going to put this horse right on the lead from the rail and then play catch me if he can. And as you said, he's just so dominant down in South Florida.
Do you think anybody goes with XY Jet in this race?
That I think Reason the Soar or Field Trip is going to be one of those horses that's going to go with that horse. And then Ray's Warrior's got a ton of speed from the outside as well. So it's going to be interesting. I think either the 4 or the 6 will try to go with XY Jet, but ultimately we know XY Jet can handle faster paces on a sprint. So I think they kind of fade. So I'm trying to back the horse up with the closing speed horse in here. And that is the number 7 Sweet on the ladies closing speed with John Velasquez from the outside. Has had an okay career at Gulfstream Park. Has ran well in a couple restricted and state bred stakes. So I'm going to go with the speed and XY Jet, a horse that I know can handle quick fractions, and then kind of round off an exact with an 8-1 on the outside.
Yeah, I agree with you. XY Jet's going to be really tough to beat in here. I mean, if you're trying to oppose XY Jet, you're going to say there is other speed in here. There are going to be some horses that are going to go early. Maybe it softens it up for some other horses to be coming late. Also, the fact that the horse is coming off of a June layoff, so we haven't seen this horse in about 7 months. So, but we have seen XY Jet be able to come from off long layoffs and do this. The workout pattern is consistent in saying XY Jet is ready to go. So, probably, like you said, somewhere around 2 to 5, 3 to 5 at post time. Potentially a free square if everything plays out right. But again, in some of these situations, and we see it time and time again, the race doesn't unfold exactly how we see it. XY Jet looks to be considerably the best horse in here, but we'll see how it plays out. The 3 Reason to Soar, like you said, horse that finished XY Jet last time, finished second, only beaten 2 1/4. If for some reason that there's enough applied pressure from the 4 or the 6 in here, Reason to Soar is a horse that's me coming from off the pace, may be able to get it done, and it's definitely a horse for the course. 4 for 5 as far as wins goes at Gulfstream, so you like to see that. Also the 7, Sweet on the Ladies, a horse that just tries each and every time, albeit is only 4 for 22 lifetime, but has faced some really good horses in Grading Stakes company, including that third 3 back to Switzerland. I think that's a horse that could be running, and you get a significant jockey change to Johnny V. So for me, I think those are probably the 2 horses that have the most potential to upset XY Jet in here. But for me, I'm going to go 1, 3, and 7. And your thoughts?
I have 1, 7, 6, and 3. And as you know, it's going to be very interesting to see how this whole pace scenario plays out.
All right, we will switch now to one of the highlights on the day down at Gulfstream. It's the Sunshine Million Classic. You're going to have a field of 8 in here with what could potentially be an 8 to 5 favorite in Super Tapit, who was a runaway winner last time and a 2 other than optional claimer. But for me, I see it as being pretty wide open in here. And I know you have a couple replays that you want to touch upon here, so we'll go to those horses right away. But what are your thoughts looking at it in a quick glance?
I'm trying to beat Super Straight, and I think Jay's Way offers a ton of value. But the horse I'm interested in is the number 6, Noble Drama, and you'll see this horse at a Gulfstream Park West replay coming up, and this is a horse that raced well against Mr. Jordan. Mr. Jordan's arguably going to be one of the top choices. If not, I think Mr. Jordan has the potential to go off as the favorite just because of the success Mr. Jordan has had the last couple of races. But Noble Drama, watching this replay, had a perfect trip with Nick Juarez. Nick Juarez back in the irons here. He is the number 2 horse in this replay. So just watch his move halfway through this race. Looks like the horse is completely out of it, makes a really late run, and just gets nipped at the wire and finishes 3rd by a length. So I like Nick Juarez back in there. Paco ran okay, lost to an absolute stud of World of Trouble last time out, and was 14 lengths off the lead that day. I mean, the horse still lost by 13 against World of Trouble. World of Trouble is just in a different kind of realm than the rest of this field here. But I think of a re-race of what we're seeing right now in a stakes race behind Mr. Jordan, who arguably could be the favorite in this race. I think Noble Drama is dangerous at 8 to 1 with a little bit of a closing kick. But then again, Mr. Jordan, the one thing that scares me about Mr. Jordan is the 1 for 17 in South Florida. But this horse has a lot of speed. Jose does a great job in the front end, slowing some things down. And then Super Trade as well with the closing kick. I'm trying to beat that closing kick with a little bit better of a price with Nick Juarez back in the irons there. So I did put Noble Drama on top with Mr. Jordan underneath, and then Super Trade in the 3rd spot. But Jay's Way is interesting too at 10 to 1. I left just outside of my top 3 in the number 4 in the 4th spot. Jay's Way is a horse that's won a couple stakes races. I'm giving a complete pass last time out trying the turf, but a couple starts back ran into
He's actually the defending champ of this race.
Defending champion, yeah.
Yeah,
so,
you just haven't seen the old Jay's Way. The
right.
form has kind of tailed off a bit, but if this horse wakes up, absolutely another one that you could use in the mix. For me, I went a little bit of a different angle, but I do like watching that Noble Drama replay. I'm definitely going to use that horse on the ticket now. For me, my only concern was the stretch out to 1 mile and an eighth, stretching out from the 7 furlongs. But like you said, a horse that's done well down at Gulfstream, and you're getting a good price at 8 to 1, and I think that's going to hold on Saturday as well. So I think that's another horse to use in the mix. For me, I went 1, 8, and 4. Dalmore, to me, and again, you have the good Dalmore and the bad Dalmore.
Right.
The good Dalmore that we saw last time, that went off 9 to 1, finished second by a half length. Pretty much took him wire to wire the entire way and just got caught late to Umbrado Juan, who's a decent horse in his own regards. But then you take a look at the 2 and 3 back races, albeit it was against Diversify, Mind Your Biscuits, Discreet Lover, and then you had the sprint race with Promises Fulfilled, Whitmore, and Limousine Liberal. All those names are notable, so obviously this horse has faced stiff competition. To me, it's whether Dalmore gets an easy lead or not in here. And I think there's the potential coming from the rail. You're going to get an aggressive rider and a Ryder Tees Jr. who's just going to go from the inside, say, catch me if you can. The workouts have been sharp, and I think a repeat of that last effort, the fact that this horse has already faced the likes, I think he finds a little bit of a soft spot in here. I'm hoping that the 4-1 price holds in here. You like to see the workout progression in here. Anthony Corroyo already has 3 wins down at Gulfstream during the Champions Meet. So for me, I think that's going to be a little bit of a sneaky play in here. So I'll use Dalmore on top. Underneath, Super Tap It. Now, what were your thoughts on Super Tap It? Because off that 9-length victory, the 2-1 morning line favorite in here, I think there's the possibility of the bounce theory being in play for Mark Cassidy in here. But a repeat of that performance, this horse would jog if that's the case, but there are a lot of variables going into it. What were your thoughts on Super Tap It?
Well, the whole thing with Super Tap It is this is a horse that if you look at his past races, comes off the pace, and no one went to the lead last time. So he was absolutely loaded and ran away from that group last time out. That's my only concern with Super Tap It. And I think there's too much speed in here for him to do that again. When he sits off the pace, he makes his move pretty impressively. He was 16 lengths off the lead, 2 starts back. But for a 2-1 horse that really has just had a little bit of second-itis up to last time out, I'm going to try to beat the horse in this spot.
Yeah, and then I had Mr. Jordan in the 3rd spot. Like you said, the 1 for 17 really kind of tilts you the other way. It's not that the horse can't win. You just, each and every time he's there, you just can't get the job done. And for me, 3-1, say he was 10-1 in this race, I would say absolutely the value's gone up. Maybe you could take a shot with him. But for me, the price is a little too short in this spot, albeit you're going to get Jose Ortiz aboard for the first time. Maybe he's going to be able to wake this horse up and be able to progress off that last victory. But again, it was one of those I have to wait and see approach to see if he's able to put back-to-back performances together. So again, for me, I'm going to use Dalmore on top. Super Tap It's scary, but I think potentially beatable in this spot, although a repeat of that last performance is going to be a handful in here. And then Mr. Jordan in the 3rd spot. For me, my wise guy horse is going to be Forever Mo. I have him in the 4th spot just on the outside, but off that victory last time at Zia going 1 mile and an 1/8, I think this horse is a little bit underrated, maybe overlooked. Javier's been starting to get into his routine. He's got 9 victories so far. I know he had a couple today as we're taping right now on Thursday. But again, a progression from this horse puts him solidly in the mix as well. What were your thoughts again?
Yeah, I agree with what you said with Javier and Asmussen teaming up. Ran great against Hens. We all remember Hens. So, but I'm sticking with Noble Drama. I have 6, 4, 8, and 7 in the Sunshine Millions Classic.
All right, that'll take us to our break. As we are halfway through the stakes preview, when we come back, we'll take a look at the Grade 2 Palos Verdes out at Santa Anita, and then the big one at Fairgrounds, the Grade 3 Le Clown. Welcome back to the stakes preview for this upcoming weekend, Saturday, January 19th. Mike Callahan, Sully Crowdy. We are through 3 so far. We're going to take a look at the final 2, and we'll go out west to Santa Anita. And I know they're getting some weather right now, so we'll see how the track ultimately is on Saturday. But it's quite an interesting race. It's Grade 2 Palos Verdes, 6 furlongs, $200,000 purse. And really, every sign is going to point you to Roy H. in here, the defending Breeders' Cup Sprint champion. Won that race very impressively by 3 1/4, as we're going to pull up that replay and show you that right now. He's actually going to be the number 9 in this spot, coming on the outside right now. They set quick fractions that day, but this was the really good Roy H. Again, we had seen a little bit of an inconsistency with Roy H. He came back in the Bing Crosby in 2018. Ran a little bit of a flat second to Ransom to the Moon, was able to win at Santa Anita after that, and then really the big question going into this was we were going to see the real Roy H. We were really able to see that in November.
Oh, yeah, we definitely were. And as you said, the Bing Crosby, same thing kind of happened in 2017. The horse lost to Ramson in the Moon, so I don't know what it is in the Bing Crosby. But we already pulled up the Golden Shaheen. The horse ran a great race there. That blanket finish with Biscuits and XY Jet and him. But that was just a dominating performance in the Breeders' Cup. So if Paco runs like that for Peter Miller, it's going to be very, very tough to stop Roy H.
Yeah, 4 to 5 is going to be short. I have to believe he might go off even shorter than that at 3 to 5 or 2 to 5, just based on the big name theory with Roy H. and Peter Miller, who's been very good at Santa Anita so far. You want to take a look at another horse in here, and a horse that I've liked throughout the career is Canthaka. And we're actually going to bring up that replay of the Malibu against McKinsey. Now, we know how impressive McKinsey was, hoping that he was going to go on the Pegasus World Cup. I know you and Seth are going down here in a couple weeks. But for me, Canthaka, you take a look at this race as we bring it up right now, didn't get the best of trips. Was a horse that was coming into the race off a May layoff, so we hadn't seen the horse in about 4 months, but was really impressive in that victory, that Grade 3 race back in May. Now, he's going to be the 12 in here, so he's actually in between horses, and you're going to see Flavien actually lose a little bit of position going into the far turn. He's actually right next to the 5, just in between horses. He's actually going to get pinched back. Enough to where you lose all chance at this point against the likes of some very good horses. And again, a notable name, McKinsey, you're going to see dominating this race. You see, you just get checked right there. And is actually last at this point. Actually is able to resurge a little bit and get close to the pack. But again, really lost all chance to win that day. Looked like he actually could improve position and then just got boxed in behind some tired horses. I think this is a horse on the improve. You take a look at the workout pattern. Been absolutely dynamite. Canthaka on December 22nd, first of 76. On January 11th, first of 101. 4 to 1 on the morning line. I think Flavien knows that he has a better than it looks like horse right here, and you can see right now it's just behind a wall of horses and knew at that point wasn't going to be able to get the leader, McKenzie. I think Canthaka is the wild card in here, and I have as the potential upset in here. I'm going to try to upset Roy H. in here with Canthaka. The 4 St. Joe Bay is the horse I have in the 3rd spot at 6 to 1. If you don't like Canthaka or you're trying to beat Roy H., I think that's probably your alternative. St. Joe Bay has just been in such solid form, including that victory last time at Los Al Racecourse, sprinting 5 furlongs, now stretching out to 6. You take a look at the pattern at Santa Anita. Does have 3 victories and 12 lifetime starts. Has also been in the money, 10 of 13. So if for some reason it doesn't swing the way of Roy H. and Canthaka, for me, St. Joe Bay would be another horse to use in an alternative. As far as a long shot play in here, Distinctive B, for me at 12 to 1 would be a horse I'd use in tries and supers. And potentially could upset those 3 if they all were to run a lackluster race in here. But for me, I'll try to upset in here in Canthaka. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough to beat Roy H., but I have Roy H. over Distinctive B. That would be an okay exacta there. And I agree with everything you said about St. Joe Bay, who I just had outside in my ticket. But I think it's going to be tough to beat Roy H. I have Distinctive B in the 2nd spot, Drayden Van Dyke teaming up with Peter Miller. And this is the horse that raced well last time out against St. Joe Bay. And a horse that raced in that Breeders' Cup sprint behind Roy H. and was also in another sprint leading up to that Breeders' Cup race and finished a nice 2nd that day. So Distinctive B is a horse that's 6 for 11, running in the money at Santa Anita, and at the distance, 12 for 16. So I'm going to use Distinctive B in a little bit of speed and Drayden Van Dyke here underneath. But then I have Canthaka as well. I can't leave Canthaka off my ticket. I'm a big fan of Flavien Prat and obviously West Point Thoroughbreds. Love Jerry Hollendorfer out there as well. And as you said, the Malibu trip was just brutal and nothing went Canthaka's way that day.
I did want to get your opinion because we try not to talk about the stakes preview until we get on camera. So obviously we haven't seen or looked at anybody's picks. What were your thoughts on Conquest Tsunami? Because that's a horse switching from turf to dirt, and you take a look at it. This horse has an enormous amount of speed. Is there any potential for this horse to take him wire to wire? I know he seems to get gassed repeatedly as far as just getting tired out late in the stretch, but at 5 to 1, Joel Rosario, there is the potential he could upset here. I didn't have him on my ticket, but I just want to know what your thoughts are because he's another potential threat in this race.
Yeah, he definitely is. He's got a lot of speed, obviously, with nice connections with Gary Barber. Peter Miller does the training, and obviously you get Rosario in the irons there. But I liked switching the horse over to dirt just to see what you have there. And the horse ran well on, at Woodbine and the synthetic earlier on in the career, and lost to a really nice horse in Caribou Club last time out. Stormy Liberal twice, and this is just a horse that has a hot and cold theory. It just runs a huge race, then doesn't run well at all, and then runs a huge race, doesn't run well at all. The way this horse is trending, a hot and cold, ran a really nice race last time. I had to leave off my ticket, but I could definitely see potential why people would like the horse. And Peter Miller's great at doing that turf to dirt switch. 31% in 2018 making that move.
All right, so your final selections again in the Grade 2 Palos Verdes?
I have 7, 2, 3, and then I put Mike Smith to complete the super there with Hollendorfer. Has a little bit of speed as well. So, and the 5 for 5 over the track. For me, I put in there to complete the super, but I have Roy H and Distinctive B for a big exact, and I put Kantaka underneath as well. You're going to get a fair price with Kantaka.
Yep, 3, 7, 4, and 2 for me. I'll try to upset Roy H. I respect the horse immensely. Just trying to get a little bit of a price home, I think, on a horse that's on the improve. And with the right sort of setup in here, I think Kantaka could get the job done. So again, 3, 7, 4, and 2 for me in the Grade 2 Palos Verdes at Santa Anita. Race number 9 on Saturday. And then we're going to round it out at Fairgrounds. On a really big day for them. You take a look at this race, a field of 15. It's the Grade 3 Lecomte, 1 mile and 70 yards for 3-year-olds. A Grade 3 event, $200,000 purse. You could throw, again, we talked about it at the beginning of the show. As you can see right now, the slate of horses. Lukewarm favorite at 9-2 is the number 12 in here, plus K Parfait, who I know we're going to touch upon in a little bit. But just a brief synopsis of this race. How did you see it? What were your thoughts initially when you took a look at it?
Yeah, I mean, whenever you get 14 horses in the field, you're going to have a great betting race. And to me, I think the favoritism is fair with Julian Leparoux and Brendan Walsh in the number 12. And there's a lot of interesting horses at some prices. I like Tyler Gaffleone coming to Fairgrounds after he's had a great Gulfstream meet. He's leaving to go ride at the Fairgrounds for the day. I think that horse is very interesting. War of Will. And then the 11 tight 10 with some speed and Ricardo Santana and Asmussen. So I think you want to be towards the lead in these type of races. I think the speed horse in here has got to be the 2 Beskitzen and Sharp teaming up. 12-1 on the morning line, a horse that broke the maiden pretty impressively. So I think you want to be off the pace. I think the 2's the pace setter in here, but Mr. Money and Tacker are going to be right off the pace as well as tight 10 and Leparoux and the lukewarm favoritism.
Yeah, again, just my initial reactions. There's a lot of speed in here, and what do you do with that speed? Everybody sort of had the ideal trip, with the short amount of races that each and every one of them had. I took a little bit of a long shot in here, and that's Royalian, and we're going to take a look at that horse right now, winning an optional claimer at Churchill back in October. And this horse came from 10 lengths out of it, and you're going to see is the number 6 here at 28-1 that day, and just starts to wind it up right now. They went quick early, as you can see, the fractions 23-3, 47-4, and now they're all starting to get a little bit leg weary. And here comes Royalian on the outside, a horse that had broke the maiden at Indiana and was switching to Churchill. Kind of got overlooked this day, and you're going to see at this point, doesn't look like he's going to get up at all. Has some focusing issues. The blinkers are going to go on Saturday down at Fairgrounds. I'd like to see that move for Tom Amos, who's 21% with blinkers. And even at this point, you think he's going to finish second, but really is able to put his head down, gain momentum, and get up to win that race by a nose. I think 12-1 may get lost in the shuffle even more. I'm hoping around 16, 17-1 at post time. And if for some reason the pace is as swift as I think it's going to be, you have War of Will, a couple others. Tight 10's not going to be too far away. It's going to be on the lead. You have the 14, potentially the favorite, the number 12, plus K Parfait. If there's a lot of speed in here and they kind of go at it on the far turn, I think it's going to set up, look exactly like that race last time out, hoping to get the job done. And a horse that's been working tremendously. Take a look at that work on January 5th, 59-2, first of 77. I like what I see out of Royalian going into it, and I think the 12-1 holds, hopefully a little bit higher. He's going to be my top choice in here. Underneath the 12, plus K Parfait is a horse that I think deserves the favoritism role in here. A horse that's never been out of the money and last time did finish second in the Grade 2 Kentucky Jockey Club race down there, going 1 mile and 16th. That was on a wet going, a sloppy surface. I think he's a potential horse to use in here. And then tight 10, I think you're either going to love or not love that horse when you're taking a look at it. Did have that lackluster 9th in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, but you take a look at the 3 races before, you draw a line through that Breeders' Cup Juvenile. This horse looked very sharp. The 79 back-to-back buyers, I think, puts this horse right in the mix. So for me, I'll try to upset the field with Royland, use a couple other logical horses, and plus K Parfait and tight 10 in here. What were your thoughts?
I did put plus K Parfait on top, and I liked how the horse looked last time out in that sloppy race at Churchill Downs. Lost to a really nice horse in Single Man. So this is a horse that the first 3 starts tried to get to the lead in Wire Field. Was in the slop last time, was 11th by 7. And then 8 by 3, and got up to finish second by a neck. So and the horse was 15-1 that day. With the amount of speed in here, I think Leparoux can kind of slow down a little bit. You don't need to get to the lead. The horse has already proven that the horse can close. So I think that's a very interesting horse. You're going to get a really nice price at 9-2 there. I had the number 8 in the second spot, War of Will. Mark Casse, Tyler Gaffalione, and Gary Barber are teaming up. A horse that just broke the maiden, but was in that Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf as a maiden. Lost that race by 3.5 behind Uncle Benny and Line of Duty. And before that, came in 4th by 3/4 of a length in the Bourbon behind Current and Henley's Joy. We all know how good of a horse Current is. So you're getting a fair price with War of Will, who just broke the maiden and raced against some solid horses. 2 grade 1s out of 3, and then there was the grade 3 Bourbon in the mix as well, and the horse ran really well that day. So I think War of Will's interesting at that price. And then the 11 tight 10. I like Winchell, Asmussen, obviously, really have had a lot of success together. I like Ricardo on the lead, a horse that ran well in that Iroquois and the Saratoga Special. And lost to a nice horse in Carol Cat. So tight 10, 8-1. I'm staying to the outside stall in this race. Interesting horse is the 6 at 12-1 with Florent Giroux. Ran well in the Sugar Bowl last time. Does have experience over the track. They're going to stretch the horse out for the first time since that Iroquois race. But the horse has been working out extremely well. January 12th at 2 out of 145, 47-4 going 4. I like Hog Creek Hustle underneath at a price with Florent Giroux. So for me, I had 12, 8, 11, and 6.
And again, I had it 7, 12, 11, and 8. I did have War Will just on the outside. But I do like, because again, you can't pick them all. Hog Creek Hustle, I think, is a horse that, like you said, you attract. Florent Giroux hasn't been aboard yet, but that workout you have to take a look at. 2 of 145. I think this horse is rolling into the race in very good form as well. The stretch out's the only bit concern in here. Does have that one race against Cairo Cat and the grade 3 Iroquois. Didn't do much running that day, but again, a better setup in here. You're going to see that horse kind of coming home very strong late in the race anyway. So again, those are our thoughts on the grade 3 Lecomte and every stakes race that we went over on this edition of the Stakes Preview. I want to thank you for tuning in. Again, Sully Crotty, Mike Callahan. Next week, we're going to be taking a look at a lot of action down at Gulfstream as they have 9 stakes races, including the Pegasus World Cup and also the new Pegasus Turf Race, which looks to be pretty good as well. You're going to be down there with Seth and sort of just want to give them a preview of what we're going to look at.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a great card, obviously, with those 2 races. So we're going to take a lot of time on those 2 races, and then we'll obviously throw in 3 more, but we're going to probably have the majority of the show based on the 2 Pegasus World Cup races.
Yeah, it's going to be a terrific weekend again. Right now, it looks like 11:30 post time for the first post. Somewhere around that 5:36 range as far as the Pegasus World Cup going off. Accelerate's coming back. A couple other big names. City of Light, who won in the Breeders' Cup very impressively. I think he's got a big shot. Also, the Mexican import that's coming in, 15 for 15 lifetime.
Right.
I know that obviously the competition down there hasn't been as good, but again, they're putting up the money. They're trying to get in the gate, and again, you never know when it comes to those situations. So there's a lot of interesting storylines going into the race, and we'll talk about it all next week. But again, thanks for tuning in. Until we see you again, take care.